how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by three men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match: opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad, then made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels, who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the 1 series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in 1950, the iconic red shirts, white shorts and blue and green socks combination was born. It remains the symbol of the greatest alliance of adversaries in all of sport. To borrow the phrase from Jim Telfer, the Lions is Everest.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome to Sunday Edition with myself, Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. Great day for North London yesterday. Spurs win at City and Arsenal thump Leeds. But injuries to Saka and Odegaard are a worry for Mikel Arteta. Palace v Forest should be the humdinger of the day. No love lost between these two, and there are huge questions over whether this might be Forest boss Nuno Espirito Santo's last game due to a strange relationship with the owner. Former Forest striker Rob Earnshaw will be with us at 10:30 to discuss. Another boss on dodgy ground is West Ham's Graham Potter. We'll be reflecting on the Hammers' dreadful start to the season. We'll look at the latest in the transfer market, and our feature, Best of the Best, will be on the greatest volleys, because it's 30 years, yes, 30 years since Tony Yeboah Stonker for Leeds against Liverpool. Don't forget, we're live on YouTube and your smart TV, so have a look at that. Just search talksport.com/watch for more details. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. Morning, Henry.
Morning.
All all right?
Yeah, very good.
Jolly good. Now, we usually go straight into the back pages at this point, but we're actually quite interested in 2 stories which aren't on the back pages, but 2 clubs which we've featured really heavily here on Sunday Edition, and we're delighted to see they're coming out of the dark times.
Absolutely, they're probably pages on 6 or 7 of the supplements. Yeah, look, it's fantastic. It was starting with Morecambe, their 2-1 win over Altrincham, 3,730 in the stadium, 3,500 of them delighted, relieved, emotional, joyous.
98th minute winner.
Yeah, 98th minute winner, and you know how fitting that the first goal was scored by Ben Tollett, who could have left the club in the summer when he wasn't paid for more than 2 months, but he stayed, so he scored the first goal. So there's something very fitting about that, but also for those 3,500 odd Morecambe fans, their resilience, fantastic.
We should explain, if you're not up to speed, particularly Morecambe were on the brink of extinction. We've had various fan groups on this show talking about, fearing the worst, let's be honest. But Punjab Warriors were always in the background looking to take it over, and they just couldn't get it over the line. And just in time, they have done.
Well, just in time. And, they bought in 10 players, obviously changed the manager, which was a bit of a surprise. But they've, the players responded, the fans responded. And it just shows with fan power, and also with owners who wanted to come in. I mean, it was crazy it took so long. But yeah, fantastic for Morecambe. And also another element of fan power, we know how powerful the Coventry City support are, home and away, amazing fans. And then Doug King, the owner, sprung a surprise. I mean, I got a message early in the morning from a Coventry City fan who was very in tune with everything that's going on at the club. And he just went, wow. And it was the club's announcement at, about 9 o'clock in the morning that they bought the stadium. I don't think anyone really saw that coming. There'd been no sniff of it, no trail of it.
Coventry in the stadium is horrendous, isn't it?
They've been there for 20 years and never actually owned their own stadium. So now it is one of their own, literally. So rather than having to be a sort of slightly sort of nomadic as they had been in the past, they've now got this, and how they responded.
Oh, yeah. 7-1 QPR. And well done, Doug King, who's been on this show a couple of times and always speaks very well, very strongly, clearly cares deeply about Coventry City.
Yeah, and not only stadium, but the training ground. I mean, have you been to Brighton, the training ground in the past? I mean, it needed a little bit of TLC and a bit of work, and he's certainly done that to it. So, yeah, good times at Coventry. Should we go to the back pages?
Yes, indeed.
Well, I thought I'm going to go thematic, and there is a general theme of managers under pressure. And if I can start at His Majesty's Sunday Telegraph, John Percy, who's probably the king of Midlands writers, very well connected, writing about Nuno. Nuno's still in charge for Palace clash today. Nuno Espirito Santo will be in charge for Nottingham Forest grudge match at Crystal Palace today, ahead of talks with owner Evangelos Marinakis. And when that press conference transpired on Friday, I imagine you were in the office going, wow, this is going to be a bit lively. I thought, look, I'm a huge admirer of Nuno as a man and a manager. I thought, why are you making those comments? Because they're not going to go down particularly well with Marinakis. In terms, he was asked about his relationship with Marinakis. It seems more about his relationship also with Edu, came from Arsenal's director.
But he didn't fully explain it. People were pressing him on what's the problem, and he wouldn't really go into it.
I know. So, yeah, I mean, he lit the fuse and then stood back.
Is he really cross that they persuaded Morgan Gibbs-White to stay? As Marinakis did, he went out personally to persuade him to stay.
It's a good point, and also he himself got a new contract.
Terrible.
So look, he's a good manager. There are obviously tensions there. We know about the ego of the owner. Whatever the issues there, they've absolutely got to be sorted out. Mention in Percy's piece about the possibility of Ange Postecoglou certainly being linked with the job. It'll be interesting to know how Forest fans.
But in the Sun, Alan Nixon says
absolutely. Sun linked with Brendan Rodgers, who has walked out on Celtic before and come down to the East Midlands before, when he went to Leicester City.
Seems like he knows it's going to create merry hell if he does it again. Although there's talk of a little bit of trouble between him and the board at Celtic, just a strained relationship at times.
Yeah, I mean, they'd be mad to lose Rodgers. He's he's an outstanding coach. He's done so much for them up there. So that's absolutely going to be some interesting discussions at the start of the week. And moving on to the Mail on Sunday, who again focusing on managers. I mean, that was pretty horrific. I was just watching it on television. West Ham. Right. Dom King's piece on the back of the Mail on Sunday, Potter stays, but clock is ticking.
Yes, his position is safe for now. And we knew it was safe last week because Karen Brady was on here on this programme and gave him a ringing endorsement to be around for a long time. But that defeat on Friday night, they showed nothing.
It was the manner of it. But look, there has to be collective responsibility in this. I mean, Potter, he didn't organise them enough. You knew what Chelsea were going to do. They were going to try and get the overlaps with the fullbacks. They were going to target West Ham at corners, and they absolutely exposed them.
We'll have Andy Payne, chair of the West Ham Fan Advisory Board, coming on at 10 o'clock to tell us what he makes of it.
But players have also got to take responsibility. And I think Juve was good, Bowen was good, Freddie Potts, when he came on, was good, but too few of them actually stood up and took responsibility. And also, look, the recruitment's not good enough. How can you go out with a midfield like that? James Ward-Prowse, fantastic in his day. Souček, ditto. There's no pace or mobility in that midfield, and that is down to the recruitment department.
Two of the games, which I mentioned earlier on, feature quite heavily as well, don't they? Big pictures of Gyökeres there celebrating. He's sort of got a monkey off his back, really, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the Telegraph Gunners 5-star show, I think on the back of your paper, actually, it sums it up very well, actually. Charlie Wyatt's piece on the game, Victory with a K, but Gyökeres double, Kid Max's debut, and how good was Max Dowman? I mean, no surprise to anyone who's sort of connected with the club, how good he is and just totally fearless. And then they mention, Charlie mentions Eze's bow came on the pitch beforehand with with an Arsenal shirt on. Slightly sad to hear that the Eze mural's been defaced. And I hope someone looks into that and find out who did that. But the whole event, as Charlie points out, was marred by Saka and Odegaard KOs.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about Arsenal in the next section. There's also the front of the Sunday Times, which is Manchester City's goalkeeper, who again we'll be talking about a bit later on, saying it's a number one problem, James Trafford.
Well, it is. I mean, he's England's number 3 goalkeeper at the moment. Tuchel really likes him. He's obviously behind Jordan Pickford, obviously England's number 1, Dean Henderson number 2. We get all that. But Pickford possibly is, not Pickford, but Trafford is going to have to look at his style of playing out from the back and actually mix it up a bit, because he's a little bit too overconfident at times, and that was exploited. Excellent by Spurs, by the way. Back of the Sunday Mirror, frankly shocking. Spurs done City to go second, but Thomas Frank, how well he's organised Spurs. So a lot of focus on Manchester City's weaknesses, Trafford's flaws, but how good were Spurs?
Yep, we'll be getting more into all of yesterday's Premier League action in a moment. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT.
This is the talkSPORT Goal Show. It's the show for the fans that's done by the fans. Yes! Oh my God! Yes! Yes! Yes!
He is an unlocker of defences.
If you've got a problem or something to say,
You don't have the right to say anything about something. I do.
This nonsense kills the game.
Richarlison's away. He is down the right-hand side, a long ball, and he's got Johnson in the centre. He's going to give it to Johnson, who arrives and smashes it beyond the goalkeeper. The offside flag is up, though, but they have given the goal because it was onside. Just and Tottenham lead at Manchester City once again. Oh, given away stupidly by Trafford. Here's Richarlison. This should be 2-0. Polinia, it is 2-0. It's terrible from Trafford. It's a meltdown from Manchester City. Well, he's looked nervy, hasn't he, right from the start of the game. James Trafford, he didn't get away with this one. It's awful. Well, everybody was laughing at Spurs this week. They ain't laughing now.
And it's Bournemouth 1, Wolves 0. Marcus Tavernier with a goal after only 4 minutes.
It's Brentford 1, Aston Villa 0. Dango Ouattara on his debut.
Great start for Brentford. Aston Villa really in trouble.
Burnley have sealed it here at Turf Moor.
Burnley 2, Sunderland 0, and it's Jadon Anthony. This place is rocking.
Up steps Gyökeres and slams it into the bottom left-hand corner. A ferocious penalty from the Arsenal front man. He has 2 now for his Arsenal account since moving in the summer. Arsenal 2 from 2. Leeds, where do they go from here? It's Arsenal 5, Leeds 0.
That is how the Premier League sounded yesterday on talkSPORT. But I actually want to go back to Friday night, Henry, and we'll talk a bit about West Ham's woes later when Andy Payne comes on from the West Ham Fan Advisory Board. But just focus on Chelsea for a moment and what you've made of them at the start of this season.
Well, I mean, everyone's expecting that they might have a dip because of the Club World Cup exertions. Well, I just think anyone with any sort of understanding of the flow of... well, I mean, it was unfortunate Cole Palmer was injured. They didn't look full of running the other day, but absolutely yesterday. Obviously, West Ham were incredibly naive, but out wide, I mean, they were just, Neto was.
He was really good, wasn't he?
João Pedro played sort of slightly more centrally, and Delat worked really hard, and Estefao. I mean, he came in for Cole Palmer and he just stepped up off the bench. Yeah, do you mind going on and starting? And
that's the thing about having a strong bench. You talk about the fatigue, and I do get it. I don't take the mickey a little bit. I do get it. But if you've got a bench that strong, it's almost like you can cope with it.
Yeah, and Gittins came on in the second half, and you had Reece James came on for Malagusta, 69 minutes. The strength in depth they've got. I still think there are 1 or 2 concerns in goal.
He's done all right so far, though.
He has done all right so far. Yeah, no, I agree with that, and certainly in the final, the Club World Cup. But yeah, they lost Cole Wilt, which was a huge frustration for club and country. But then you look, I think Marc Cucurella hasn't he signed an extension to his deal? He's probably in the top 3-5 left backs, best left backs in the world. Slightly annoying character. Gets up opposition teams.
But that's all right, isn't it?
But that's fine. But he's good player. So yeah, they've just got responsibility takers. And you looked at that West Ham team beforehand. You thought, how many of those players would actually get in that Chelsea team? And that's obviously a sort of reflection on West Ham's lack of quality, Bowen apart, but also the strength that Chelsea have got. I mean, that midfield. I mean, Moises Caicedo. I mean, was it 125 million he cost? But how good has he been? Enzo Fernandez.
Fernandez together is going to be pretty formidable to get past, isn't it?
Yeah,
they've got it together now.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see whether they play, sort of 2 more pivots and then let Enzo Fernandez push on against stronger against stronger teams. But, you know, players are slightly more sort of stouter, sort of stronger central midfield defensively. But I mean, Fernandes, his runs into the box. But out wide, they were just electric. The fullbacks, Cucurella particularly, sort of overlapping the corners. Every part of their game was strong.
I know you, as I say, you talk about fatigue, etc., in the Club World Cup. But I think you can balance that on the other side with the confidence it's given Chelsea that they win that at the end of the season. They're almost straight into the start of the season as Club World Champions, whether you take the mickey out of it or not. Yeah. They played really well in that final. And that confidence has carried over. All right, it didn't a bit sticky last week, but by and large, it has.
Yeah, and I mean, for someone like Liam Delap, who, you know, a new signing, he spent, 3 weeks with new teammates, so that would have absolutely accelerated the bedding in process and that bonding. So, yeah, and look at Maresca. I mean, Maresca, and I say this as someone who lives near Leicester, and you talk to Leicester City fans, and they weren't heartbroken when he left. But look at him now. I mean, obviously all managers can develop, and he's certainly done in terms of the way he sets up his team tactically, the changes that he makes, the times that he makes his substitutions, the obvious preparation that goes in at Cobham in terms of set pieces, and we know how important those are. So, yeah, he's very impressive.
And quite ruthless with the way he's treating Jackson and Nkunku.
Yeah, I mean, whether that's him or whether that comes from on high, whether that's PSR. But I mean, no, I agree with you. He is, but he's got to be in a way, isn't he? Because he can't. I mean, the stories in your paper last year of players changing in the corridor at the training ground.
Yeah, he's got. He admits he's got too many. But for all people take the mickey out of Jackson, and I do get it, he actually didn't do that bad in the end. Towards the end of the season, he was scoring a few goals, and there are clubs who would be interested in him possibly. I'd rather he didn't go to Newcastle in place of Isak, I must admit. But he does have a certain pedigree about him, and he's just bombed.
Yeah, he was good for Senegal against England, wasn't he, at the City Ground late last season. Yeah, I just look at him, and I don't think he's actually developed that much as he could do and as he should do at that age. Offside, issues like that, final ball. I think Delap, João Pedro, the players they've got there, you know, they've definitely upgraded.
And I don't think we'd argue on Nkunku. It hasn't really worked out.
No, definitely not. No.
We talked a bit about James Trafford earlier on, and we will focus on goalkeepers later because he didn't have a great day for Man City. But Spurs were excellent, and defensively, they appear to have tightened up. And also, when they press forward, everybody moves forward, so you don't get that horrible gap in midfield, which you did under Postecoglou, when they sort of half-pressed sometimes and left holes everywhere.
It reminded me slightly of, do you remember when Eddie Howe played against Arsenal last season and he told some of his centre-half to really press high and they actually went hunting the ball? There's a little bit of that with Romero, the fact that he was sort of stepping out and going and hunting the ball like that. But you're completely right, they're sort of defensively they're so strong, their structure's better, but that defending starts from the front. I mean, that pressing that they put in, you know, with Charlison and Sarr and Kudus, what a signing Kudus has been. But for me, one of the most significant signings of the transfer window has been João Paulinho on loan from Bayern Munich. Because that experience, that nous, that reading the game scored as well, defending the back four. It's funny with captaincy, because I looked at Romero getting the captaincy and I thought, well, that's a bit of a risk. He's a bit of a hothead. But actually, he was one of the few players actually trying to calm things down on the pitch yesterday. And maybe the armband and the responsibility of office will make him, you know, will add to that and will accelerate the maturity. But I thought they were outstanding all over the pitch.
Do you think the defenders are slightly relieved that they're allowed to drop back 5 or 10 yards as opposed to last season when they had to all squeeze up on the halfway line, and it left them with a lot to do?
It was a really good point they made on Match of the Day last night. So not only they were dropping back, but one of the centre-halves was, or whether it was Van de Ven, was covering in behind Romero as well. I mean, you can just see it. So, I mean, Thomas Frank just deserves so much credit for all this, for the preparation that he's done on the training ground, just getting them ready, just drilling them, just getting him in the right structure shape, as he did with Brentford before. And Sarr, you know, that midfield three is terrific as well. And Bentancur, word for Bentancur, a fit Bentancur is a fabulous player.
Arsenal thumped Leeds 5-0. We know that they've got some injury issues now. Saka, Odegaard, and actually Eze being introduced to the crowd, we're thinking, well, where's he going to go in that team? There's about 3 different positions now that he might be able to fill.
It was interesting because the obvious position for him to play, if they were going to play a 4-3-3, and if you're not going to play Martinelli wide left, and Madueke started out there. Madueke's a more orthodox winger than Eze is. Eze is more of a number 10. But Eze obviously can play that wide left role, but he'll come in. That works if you've got an attacking fullback like Calafiori sort of bombing on outside him. So I understand that. He can... I don't like him as a false nine, certainly not as a 9, even though everyone describes him as a forward. Obviously, he can play as a 10, and he can play wide right as well. So, yeah, your point is completely right in terms of Arteta's desire to have Eze, to sign Eze, to have these quality players in all positions. The fact that Eze can play a range of roles has been vindicated. You just hope that Saka and Odegaard aren't out for too long.
I've mentioned to you the last couple of weeks saying, what happened to Arsenal with Eze? And we're going, oh, well, he just, they haven't bothered. And, of course, the injury to Havertz. Probably they wouldn't have gone for Eze had they not got the injury to Havertz.
It's interesting because you get conflicting signals about that. Because it sounds like that Eze obviously had his heart set on Arsenal. The way he left at 13, floods of tears, released by the academy. The fact that it was his club. The picture of him going on the pitch yesterday in an Arsenal shirt, he was absolutely beaming. I mean, that wasn't simply a player who's got a nice move.
Like really cool when he came out.
But no, he was
it up.
He was upping. And by the way, credit to Crystal Palace. All the videos that they've been putting out of him just is huge testament to them as a club, but also to him as a person, because they're obviously missing a good guy as well as a very good player.
There were other scores yesterday. Bournemouth beat Wolves 1-0. Brentford beat Villa 1-0. And Burnley beat Sunderland 2-0. Never mind Sunderland. Coming up next, it's Transfer Talk with Ben Jacobs. Isak's still there. Where's Liverpool's 150 million? Yeah, this is Sunday Edition with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. We'll get into transfers in just a moment. We have texts and WhatsApps have been coming in. Darren, the Spurs fan, says, question for you both. Why does everyone hammer Spurs for not winning a trophy before last year for 17 years, but Villa haven't won for 29 years and are treated with kid gloves? That's Darren, the Spurs fan. And Ryan says, you've got more chance of drawing blood from a stone than Henry criticising an English manager. You blame the players, the recruitment team, literally anyone but Potter.
I think we blame Potter as well. I think we blame Potter.
But you did say he was a project manager, Henry.
Yeah, no. But if you understand the concept of a project manager, Shaun, is that it takes time. So I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying if you are going to appoint a project manager like Potter, you've got to give him time.
But look, I decided he was a project manager. Who says?
Well, he's always been depicted as that. Okay. If you read the papers, Shaun.
Well, I just don't agree with you. I think if you get called a project manager, that sort of it buys you time. It means that you'll get a free pass for a few games. Well, there's no time for anybody nowadays in the Premier League, is there?
So you just bomb them out immediately?
Well, what would you do with Graham Potter?
I think it's very difficult for him, though.
So if you were in charge?
It depends who else you could get in.
So he's on dodgy ground then?
Yeah, completely he's on dodgy ground.
Anyway, transfer time now. And we're joined by Ben Jacobs, talkSPORT transfer reporter. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Very good. Ben. Bit testy in here. Henry's getting a bit twitchy about that.
Yeah, come and calm us down. Play the Christian Romero role.
Anyway, look, we're going to start with Andre Onana. What is going on with him at Manchester United? Is he going to end up staying? Are they going to replace him? What's the latest?
Yeah, I think that from Manchester United's point of view, they are looking for a young goalkeeper, but that doesn't necessarily impact the future of Onana, who's expected to stay and still be the number one. It would be a big surprise now if late in the window a more experienced goalkeeper came in. We know that a loan offer was made earlier in the window for Emi Martinez. Maybe that's a clue in the long run, therefore, that Onana's position will be under serious consideration over the course of the next 12 months. But for now, my understanding is the Royal Antwerp goalkeeper Sene Lammens is the player Manchester United are trying to sign. They're hoping to do the deal for about 17 million. That likely impacts on the long-term future of Bayern rather than Onana, with Lammens being viewed as someone that can be a young number two and add competition to Onana, but not replace him overnight. And therefore, if Lammens is the player to come in, and keep an eye today if he's included or not in the matchday squad, but I don't think that potential arrival will actually have any effect whatsoever on Onana, who now is expected to stay.
How do you think they've settled on the Belgian keeper, which is a bit left field? It hadn't been talked of really before.
Yeah, I think this was a name actually that myself and chief football correspondent Alex Crook was speaking about as early as June.
Oh, forgive me, Ben. Sorry, I didn't realise that.
Well, I think still it wasn't that much media coverage around it. And I think that was probably because a lot of the headlines were more around, as you rightly said in your question, Onana. But Manchester United's strategy coming into the window was only to find a young number two. And there was no real suggestion that Onana would go. And then over the course of the last sort of 2 months or so, with Emi Martinez, now Gigi Donnarumma, Mike Maignan, all kind of available at different points in the market, I think the focus has shifted as far as headlines to Onana. But if Manchester United stick to their plan, it will be a young number two. And Sene Lammens is seen as someone with a lot of authority in his box, an instinctive shot stopper, very mature for his age. In other words, one of those players that's young by age, but actually has played a lot of games. And then where he needs to improve is with the distribution from his feet, which is why a club like Manchester United might not necessarily chuck him in right at the deep end from day one. But a big talent, and somebody that I often hear compared to Mike Penders, the youngster that's already joined Chelsea and is now on loan at Strasbourg. So Manchester United are looking to find somebody that's young, can have longevity at the club, and can be a number one potentially quite quickly, but not necessarily overnight.
But when clubs tend to do this, they target a young goalkeeper and say, right, we'll bring him in and sort of settle him in, and there's a sort of succession planning. They tend to do that at the start of the window. This just seems slightly odd. I mean, it's almost like they've suddenly realised Onana actually is going to cost us points, cost us games. Let's get someone in. Let's have a look around to see who's actually available. But you think I mean, you were talking about it in June, so I respect that. But you think this has been sort of slightly longer term looking at him rather than just events of the past few days?
Yeah, I suspect there's a few factors. One is obviously the Africa Cup of Nations, which will happen mid-season. The second thing is perhaps the fact that Onana got injured. Bayindir came in. He unfortunately made an error. Manchester United sources speak of Bayindir as a fantastic character and somebody they think has perhaps been vilified as a result of that loss to Arsenal, because it was one error and Manchester United played very well. But late in the window, you have to start thinking about opportunism. Are you a little bit thin in that area? And probably the last factor in this is just that a lot of clubs are suddenly now looking late window at Sané Lamens. So Manchester United probably feel if they don't move now and they wait for next summer, perhaps there's a possibility that another club come in. So that's where some of the urgency has come from too.
OK, what about Donnarumma? Because he's a European champion for club and country, and ever since he got told he wasn't wanted at PSG, all I've heard is he's no good in the air, he's no good with his feet. Don't know why anybody wants to sign him, but he might go to Man City, who'll have a goalkeeper who can play with their feet, and the one they've got at the moment can't play with his feet.
Yeah, it would seem like a good fit, wouldn't it? And if Ederson goes off to Galatasaray and those talks are advanced, then I do expect Manchester City to make a formal approach to PSG for Gigi Donnarumma. And as you say, you have a goalkeeper that arguably was one of the best, if not the best, over the course of the last 12 months, certainly in European football, in PSG's run to winning the Champions League. But Lucas Chevalier's come in at PSG. He's the number one. And the thing with Donnarumma is he's only got 1 year left on his deal. So PSG's perspective is they'd rather not pay him the roughly £8 million salary a year and then lose him on a free transfer. And this is where there's again opportunism late in the window for Manchester City to potentially move. But what will be interesting is if Ederson doesn't go to Turkey, Donnarumma's going to have to work out whether or not he's going to see out his contract at PSG, because there's not many other options at the moment on the table. The last complication here is PSG are saying if Mike Maignan with a year left is 25 million, their belief is Donnarumma should be 40 million plus, and there's no way Man City are going to pay that kind of fee. So two things have to happen. Ederson needs to leave, PSG's price needs to drop, and then we might see Donnarumma heading to Man City.
OK, Wissa and Isak, has it moved on a millimetre in the last 3 days?
I think we're all a little bit tired of both of these sagas. Thankfully, there's only about a week of the window to go, so we should get clarity. Wissa didn't play at the weekend, and I'm actually told, interestingly, that that was Brentford's decision. So Wissa had said, I'm prepared to come back into the squad, even though his position hasn't changed. He wants to leave. And Keith Andrews said, no, that might be an indication that Brentford still feel another offer from Newcastle United is coming. Let's see if Tottenham enter the race, because, of course, they're looking for more than one attacker. Savinho's the big target on the left-hand side, but Wissa is not beyond the realms of possibility. Last bid rejected from Newcastle, 35 million, 5 million in add-ons, so Newcastle have to go a lot higher. And Wissa's got 1 year left, but there is a club option of the further year, and that's informing Brentford's valuation. So at the moment, not much movement, but Wissa's still hoping he's going to be allowed to leave. And Brentford's perspective is that Dango Ouattara, who scored at the weekend, is not a replacement for Wissa. He's the one that's come in for Brian and Mbumo, so it might be another number 9 and then Wissa being allowed to leave. And then, without repeating myself, as you can probably tell, it's very similar with Alexander Isak. Newcastle want attackers. They've got a game against Liverpool. Nothing is expected to move before that game on Monday evening. But Tuesday onwards, let's see whether Newcastle bid for Wissa and another attacker. If one attacker comes in, it's possible Isak goes. If two attackers come in, I think it's pretty definite that Isak goes, and Liverpool are just waiting patiently until their game at St James's Park is over.
Ben, what's your gut feeling on Isak? Tuesday morning, does Isak put in a transfer request, and then Liverpool come back in with a bid that's more in tune with what Newcastle want?
I think my gut feeling is no to the transfer request, because as soon as you put that in, you lose various bonuses. And as a consequence, I think everyone knows that Isak's statement basically was a transfer request. So whether he puts one in formally or not, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference this late in the window. I think Liverpool are not looking at the moment or bidding for any other attacker, and they actually have quite an urgent need, despite a fantastic window, for another attacker. And that tells me they think the door is still open, but they're being discreet and they're waiting until the game ends. And then I think Liverpool would be prepared to bid again, but they're waiting for that encouragement. Whether that number is 150 million or anywhere close, I'm a little bit sceptical. My understanding is that Liverpool think think their first offer of 110 million fixed was quite competitive. It's 10 million under what they told Newcastle they were prepared to bid. And I think 120 million is Liverpool's number. Anywhere closer to 130 million is late window urgency, but it's not as high as they want to go. So if this deal does get done, and of course it is still an if, I sense that Liverpool will be happier with the final price, because my understanding is Liverpool will not go to this number we constantly hear of 150 million.
Well, that's what they've been told. It's 150 million, so they need to stump up, in my view. And as for his bonuses, he can whistle for those. I gather you've got news of Carney Chukwuemeka.
Yeah, Carney Chukwuemeka and Aaron Anselmino, both Chelsea players at the moment. So Carney Chukwuemeka is really close to rejoining Dortmund. He was, of course, on loan there. These talks have been ongoing throughout the window, but Dortmund's starting position had always been they want to do a loan with a buy option. And what's happened in the last week is Chelsea have said, do you want to take Aaron Anselmino on loan? And if you do a double deal, we'll knock the price down on a permanent sale for Carney Chukwuemeka. So it now looks like Aaron Anselmino will do a straight loan to Dortmund, and then in addition Carney Chukwuemeka will now leave permanently. We understand it's not 100% done yet, but all parties expect it to happen. Chukwuemeka waiting for permission to travel, and the fee is likely to be in excess of £20 million.
Ben Jacobs, thank you very much. We're right up to date with the transfer news, and you still think Isak's going to go, don't you?
I just think that if you are a player, and with huge respect to Newcastle United, you're amazing fans. But look, it's Liverpool. It is Liverpool. Yeah, well, it is a step up. I know, absolutely, and that's your heart rather than your head. I'm a neutral in all this. I think you are absolutely building, and the person who comes out of this with most credit is Eddie Howe. I think he's handled it, a very difficult situation, fantastically. One thing on Chukwuemeka, should never have left Aston Villa. He was playing well for the England age groups. There was a lot of hype about him, a lot of promise. He was going to play regularly. I think it was Gerrard was manager at the time. And, be careful, because the grass isn't always greener.
Absolutely. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. Coming next, it's our feature, Best of the Best, and it's a belter. There's only a few days left to enter our VIP competition as the NFL returns to Wembley in October. The Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box with full hospitality, plus $5,000 spending money. But it all ends tomorrow, so be quick. Here's how to enter.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission or enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by 25th August at 11 p.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. See talksport.com for terms and conditions.
Okay, now it's time for this.
One of the greatest tries ever scored, but she won't get there. Kaylee Hodgkinson is the Olympic champion.
I'm going to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Oh, Stephen Harmison, one of the great balls.
Double 12! Oh, my word!
Best of the best on Sunday edition.
I think I'm a special one.
I think he's done it! Yes! You beauty!
Let's be having you!
On talkSPORT.
Yeah, this is our new feature, Best of the Best. Well, basically, we pick a subject and look at the best of it. Last week it was Man United Arsenal games, but today we're focusing on the best ever volleys. And that's because it's 30 years since this great strike.
Redknapp shows he's recovered by climbing well into that header. Dorigo towards Wallace, back here. And there's the strike! Wonderful goal! Wonderful Yeboah!
Yeah, Tony Yeboah's sensational volley for Leeds against Liverpool was 30 years ago, and Henry was there at the game.
Yeah, Monday night under the lights, Ellen Road, absolutely rocking. And as John Helms has described it so eloquently there, I mean, Dorigo's ball, you know, he was classic Dorigo. He sort of ventured forward, left back, left midfield, just pinged the ball up. Rob Wallace, who I'd never really associated as a sort of towering Lee Chapman type in the air, but he headed the ball back. Liverpool's defence was a little bit sort of scrambled, dishevelled, but Yeboah's hit. I mean, you see it from the bat, and he's got 21 on his bat, and he's, you know, actually, 2 of his best goals that he ever scored with his right foot, the one against Wimbledon as well, but he's actually more left-footed. But anyway, he caught this one beautifully.
Or it was more left-footed, or it was right-footed?
It was right. Sorry, it was right-footed, but yeah, he scored more with his left. But yeah, so anyway, so it was a brilliant finish, and it sort of added to it the fact that it came down off the crossbar.
It's always better when it comes off the crossbar, isn't it?
Do you think sometimes you hear the sound of it and the reverberations, and then it sort of dropped down and, you know, beat David James? But the picture of it, obviously, there are many different angles of it, but I just remember looking at the footage. And thanks very much for this. I had fun yesterday going through all your lovely volleys. But there's just this great moment. You just see there's this sort of tableau of faces, of Leeds faces behind the goals, and there's just shock, delight. One fan realises what's happening. Maybe he saw how Yeboah played in Germany, and he's up off his feet the moment he makes connection, and then everyone is just up, and it's like a sort of Mexican wave going from the front to the back of the stand. Absolutely brilliant finish. And he was only over here for 2 seasons, but what a legacy.
Our old friend Raman Osman did a feature about this with Tony Yeboah in The Sun this week, and he says it's the only proof he's got when he coaches kids and shows them that he was actually quite a decent player, that he shows them this volley, and they'll go, wow, you really could play. And he could play. On his day, he was sensational, wasn't he?
He got 20-odd goals in 40 games. But yeah, it was brilliant. But look, it's perfectly set up your best of the best.
30 years ago.
Where are you going to start?
You were sort of making it Premier League. Can I just get 2 international ones out of the way first? James Rodriguez sticks in my mind from the 2014 World Cup, because it was the last game I did as the chief football writer.
I remember you're leaving too.
And he, yes, and he flicks it up on the edge of the box, and he volleys it into the top corner, and everybody's saying, this is why this kid is going to be a superstar. And of course he wasn't really in the end. But at the time, he was such a player who was on the rise, and it all went a bit awry. And as people at Everton saw, he wasn't quite up to it, but he certainly had his moments. And my favourite volley of all time is 1988, and it is Marco van Basten in the European Championship final.
Yeah.
I just think...
Well, because of the angle.
If the angle is just amazing. And actually, whenever you mention that goal, everybody can remember the goal, but they kind of remember who it was against, because it was against a team that doesn't even exist anymore. Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So I'll just get those two out of the way, but I'll let you get back to the Premier League ones, because that's what we're really focusing on. So your favourite?
Well, I can't do favourites.
Oh, you can't do a favourite.
It's like choosing your favourite child. Have
you got a favourite child? You haven't got a favourite child. Just checking. They're both equal.
They're both equal. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Right, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. There's a Robin van Persie section in this.
There is, absolutely.
There's
Arsenal, a few for him,
Charlton.
isn't there?
Yeah. But again, it's the technique. It's just the stillness with which he sort of adjusts his body, and just the composure and the control. I mean, the Arsenal one against Charlton in the 6-7 season was pretty special. But actually, I think the one against Aston Villa, if you remember...
similar strike. It's similar.
Yeah. But Rooney played that long ball, from his own half. And then it came over his shoulder, and he just absolutely... He caught it. He caught it perfectly, having said that he was moving in that one.
In 2013, that one was. In fact, Rooney...
And that was a very significant one. So coming back to your point, we always have this debate about what makes a great goal. John Barnes against Brazil, was it a great goal? Brilliant technically, but it was a friendly. It was an important game. And John always says, and no, it's not a volley, but I'm just talking, but this was a great goal because it helped them on the way to the title.
Indeed. In fact, Rooney features, as I was going through various volleys, Rooney features also for scoring them as well. He scores an absolute belter against Newcastle in 2005. Was that on your list?
Yeah, it was, and partly because it was a PFA dinner that night, and Gordon Taylor actually said this just happened about 3-4 hours earlier, and it was Rooney's volley against Newcastle. And then I think he just had a little bit of an argument with the referee, and he looked like he'd sort of poured all his sort of anger, frustration, or whatever into that. And then I think he won PFA Young Player of the Award later that day. Yeah. But anyway, what a special player. There's probably quite a Rooney collection you could take.
You mentioned Shearer, and Shearer versus Everton in 2002. From a Shola Amiobi knockdown, and it's miles out. And it's the perfect sort of striker's goal, the great head knockdown perfectly into his path. He's on the run, he just catches it beautifully.
Best English volleyer of a ball you've ever seen?
Yeah, probably. I mean, his technique is brilliant.
Yeah, I would throw... I mean, Shearer, absolutely, you'd have as number one. I would throw the Scholes, Manchester United against Villa. Again, another one that came off the underside of the bar, 6-7. That was again Scholes' technique, and when he hit them, they tended to stay hit, as the commentators always tell us.
And as I was going through the archives, of course, we have been talking quite a lot about West Ham in the negative sense. This is a West Ham positive. Di Canio's volley against Wimbledon is the like of which you really don't see very often. Both feet off the ground.
Yeah, Trevor Sinclair cross. And then he just met it. Yeah, I mean, that was...
people still talk about that one now, because that was different. I don't think I've seen one like it since.
No, I mean, there are lots of different ones. I mean, Thierry Henry, the one against Barthez, when he got Gary Neville quite close to him, and he turns and he flicks it up.
No, sorry. Yeah, from the edge of the box. Flicks it up.
That was... I mean, honestly, there's so many. So
there is, but we're talking about the best of the best. So what else features in your best of the best?
I had Gareth Bale in there, who was a fabulous volleyer of a
Which
ball.
Particular
for Spurs against Stoke in 10-11.
What happens?
Ball comes in, he kind of sort of sets himself, and then as Bale does, and then he just absolutely hammers it into the top left-hand corner or top corner anyway.
Just to balance it up, though, Stoke City have an entry in my list as well, and it's Peter Crouch.
Okay.
From way out. It's a sort of hooked volley. I don't know if you remember it. He's 20 yards out, and it's not a thrash. It's a carefully, almost a guided volley up into the over in the left-hand corner. I also found Matt Taylor, Portsmouth v Everton, 2006, 40 yards. Have a look at that one on YouTube. But so my favourite of all time, maybe from volleys in the Premier League, probably Shearer, but I'm biased.
Yeah, I would go to Kanye, but an honourable mention to Andros Townsend for Palace against City.
Oh yeah, I do have that one noted down. 2018, that was particularly special. So, best of the best. We've had about 12 there.
Yeah.
But they are the best of the best volleys.
Yeah, I went all Premier League because I think if you go into Champions League...
Because I'll probably have a feature about great international goals and I'll have those two in it in it again. But there's a special thing about a volley which I just love. You don't get from any other goal. A volley is... Oh, I love them.
Duncan Ferguson used to take James Rodriguez for volleying practice. That was quite a combination. At Everton.
You used to what?
Take him for shooting practice.
All right.
That's quite a session.
You any good?
Quite
could you hit the volley?
Could I?
Yeah.
No, I could hardly hit the ball. Well, you played
I've seen you strike it pretty well occasionally, but that's just usually hoofing it into touch.
Yeah. None of this dribbling around from the back.
No, absolutely not. This is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. Next up, what's going on at West Ham and can Graham Potter survive?
The Lions. Real-life fantasy rugby. Bitter rivalries set aside in a quest to create the world's best team in weeks. There's nothing like it, but who on earth had the idea and how did it all begin? Incredibly, the first Lions tour was organised and funded by three men who played in England's first ever Test cricket match: opening bowler Alfred Shaw, opening batsman Arthur Shrewsbury and captain James Lillywhite. The 1888 Lions squad, then made up of 17 English, 4 Scots and 1 Welshman and a Northern Irishman, took a 46-day boat trip to New Zealand before heading to Australia. The Lions weren't alone on the boat. Also on board were 300 stoats and weasels, who were brought over to eliminate New Zealand's rabbit problem. The first ever Lions captain, Robert Seddon, died of drowning midway through the tour while sculling on a river. Andrew Stoddart, who was another of the cricketers there, took over and was the star of the tour. The next one was the first to get official recognition from the RFU against the newly formed Springboks. Although the Lions won the series and beat the Boks again 5 years later, in the 12 series since in South Africa, they've only won 2. New Zealand has proved an even tougher hunting ground, just the one series win for the Lions in 11 attempts, which came in 1971. And then there was that nail-shredding drawn series in 2017, only the second in Lions history. Only once have the Lions clinched a series after losing the first test, 1989, when David Campese's infamous ghost pass was pounced upon by Ian Evans. Before World War II, the Lions had a dark blue strip, which on the 1930 tour forced the All Blacks to play in all white. So in 1950, the iconic red shirts, white shorts and blue and green socks combination was born. It remains the symbol of the greatest alliance of adversaries in all of sport. To borrow the phrase from Jim Telfer, the Lions is Everest.
Another hour left of Sunday Edition here on talkSPORT with myself, Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. I knew I'd unleashed the beast when we said we'd talk about best volleys because everybody's piled in. Stephen Manchester, contender for best volley ever, has to be Nicholas Jensen, Man City v Leeds 2003, pinpoint cross by Anelka right onto Jensen's left boot. I don't remember that one myself, but I'll take your word for it. What about Robbie Blake versus Man United for Burnley in 2009 for a volley? Andy from Burnley. What about Dele Alli's volley v Crystal Palace, says Mickey. Shaun Bartlett, Charlton, 2001 goal of the Premiership season. Great volley. And there's many, many more. Adebayor v Spurs at White Hart Lane, says Darren in Kent. Goodness
Can we make this a weekly feature?
Oh, man, I knew you just... I think
but they are special, aren't they?
They are, and especially if it's your team, you remember the one your team did. But anyway, it was good fun, that. What isn't good fun is what's going on at West Ham for West Ham fans. Last Sunday, we had West Ham Vice Chair Baroness Karen Brady on the show, and she gave manager Graham Potter her full support.
Graham is a forward-thinking manager. He's sort of calm under pressure. He's very detailed in his approach. He's a great manager of players. He builds a special relationship with players and they understand where he's coming from. And he has a modern mindset. And all of those things mean that it does take some time to put a team together, to get the team playing the way that you want. I mean, West Ham is not a club that panics about its managers. We tend to support people, stick with them and see it through. I really hope he does well. He's a pleasure to work with. He's incredibly professional. And I know the players respect him. I know his relationship with the players is good. I know he'll be sitting down with them today to have a long, hard think about what went wrong yesterday, expecting a reaction and expecting to put it right.
Yeah, West Ham beaten 3-0 at Sunderland last week and 5-1 by Chelsea on Friday night. Karen Brady told us last week that West Ham are not a club that panics. Andy Payne, chair of the West Ham Fan Advisory Board. Are you panicking? Good morning.
Good morning, Shaun. I don't like the word panic. I mean, it's not going to get you anywhere, is it? I just want to say, by the way, you brightened up my morning massively. The Paolo Di Canio volley against Wimbledon was I was right behind him, and of course in the old days at West Ham all the supporters could actually see the game because it was nice and close, and we had a fantastic atmosphere. But thank you for mentioning that, Henry. That was great. And also, I was puzzled there was no mention of West Ham transfers in your transfer roundup, which was amazingly comprehensive. So maybe that will come on the radar this week. Who knows? We seem to be clearing players out and then looking for direct replacements. So let's see what Graham Potter can do with his man management skills.
OK then, Andy, let's start at the start. When Graham Potter came in, were you a fan of that appointment?
Personally, I always like to give people a chance. I think, yes, I would say I was. I was confused, like many West Ham fans were, about Lopetegui's appointment. We were all a bit confused. Not everybody, but, there was questions asked. And frankly, it was just a confusing reign. Potter came in. We had a very good first game, if I recall, up at Aston Villa. And, he comes across very well in the media, and he's very controlled. He talks a good game. I just hope that he can get a good game and get something out of the players. Whether we've got, look, we played Chelsea. They destroyed us. They didn't even move out of third gear. I think their players were embarrassed how easy it was. And after an initial few minutes where we scored an early goal, got one disallowed, West Ham players would need to look at themselves really to see if they really thought they put they put themselves into it. The fans. Listen, the fans are the fans, and we all want West Ham to win. Of course we do, but there's always been a thing at West Ham about the approach. We want our players to give 100%. There's no such thing, 110%, 100% every single game. If they do that, we get behind them. And West Ham fans do get behind their team, and we want to get behind our team, and we want that link with our football players, and we need leadership. We need leadership at our football club at every level, and that's where I'd start. I always start looking, what's the vision, what's the plan? It's like politicians. They talk about, well, they've got this vision. Where's the policy to deliver it? There's the detail. Where is all that stuff? And I would like to know a little bit more about that. Now, we're the FAB, we're the Fan Advisory Board. We're not specifically set up to talk about matters on the pitch, and quite rightly so. What do we know? We're just fans, okay? We just watch the game. But we represent, between our groups on the FAB, over 25,000 West Ham fans. I can tell you now, you won't be surprised. They are raging about our approach. This is not after 2 games. This is after about 32 games. This decline has been slow but direct for probably 3-4 years. And we want to see our football club where it needs to be, and it needs to start off by reconnecting with its fans and the players, and bringing that unity together.
Andy, one of the groups that you represent is Hammers United, and it was interesting to see that their post on X, and if I can quote it to you, we will be making contact with the Metropolitan Police in response to calls from our members to help plan a protest. This will show the senior leadership team at the club what our members and the wider supporter base think of the utter mess that they have put our club in. I assume that sort of off-field issues as well as on.
Well, look, I think we have to work with who we're working with. All of us have got to get together. If we squabble and shout and point fingers, we're not going to get anywhere. We all know. I'm a businessman. The last thing you do is criticise the people you work for or that you work with. You don't do that. You've got to get together and figure out what's the plan. Hammers United will always contact the police. That's what you have to do if you're going to plan a protest or indeed a march. Last time we had a march, we had over 9,000 out on the streets some years ago. Peaceful, respectful, non-violent. Absolutely the way it's always got to be. But it showed the depth of feeling amongst all the age groups at West Ham. It's not just an old school West Ham old blokes getting, like wishing for the past. It's not like that at all. We've got fantastic, young, vibrant fans that are as West Ham as anybody else.
What are you protesting about? What specifically, when you have a protest, what's it about? And I've seen this with Newcastle United, where you get 4 different groups. Some are protesting about the ownership, not necessarily at the moment. Some are protesting about the manager, of course, not at the moment, but in the past. Some about the players, some about the transfer policy. What is the protest's focus?
Okay, so last season we protested home and away with the opposition fans about the concessions, the Stop Exploiting Loyalty FSA campaign. We were very proud of that. And the club listened, they worked with the fan groups. That was a mutual good decision, a good outcome. This time, I think the fan base, from what we can tell, given that we're fans as well, we just don't know what the strategy is. We seem to be selling players and letting them go out. Alvarez has gone out to Fenerbahce on loan. Why? Is he not good enough? In which case, sell him. But what's the strategy for bringing players in? We've had, Kyle Walker-Peters, decent footballer, I suppose. What's his name? Callum Wilson. Good in his day. Sort of free transfers. Fantastic footballer in the making with Diouf on the left side. But, there just doesn't seem to be any urgency here. And the window will shut in a week's time. Fans expect to see replacements. We're not expecting West Ham to spend like an Arsenal or a Man City, but we are expecting West Ham to invest in their future. And we've been told PSR means we've got to sell before we buy. We don't actually, frankly, we dispute that.
Andy, just quickly, do you want new owners?
Me personally, it's a good question, Henry. Thank you for asking that tough question. I think the fan base are disillusioned with the direction of the club.
But the fan base is always disillusioned, Andy. No matter what it is, you were disillusioned with Moyes. You were disillusioned. Twice over.
Shaun, I respectfully disagree with you. The fan base is always disillusioned. I don't think that's the case. I think it comes back to the strategic direction of the football club. We were told by the owners that when we moved from Upton Park, the bowling ground, to the Olympic Stadium, we were told world-class stadium, world-class players, world-class team. None of those have been delivered, frankly. We've got a survey. 9,000 fans did a survey on the stadium and the atmosphere. It's damning. So, we need to improve these things, and the fans have got to play their part, and they will. Okay, but we need the club to share the vision and ask us how we can help as football fans, as West Ham fans, because I don't want to walk away from West Ham. My mates don't want to walk away from West Ham. All the people we want, but they don't want to walk away from West Ham. That's not the way we do things at West Ham. But people are getting, they're just getting disillusioned.
Okay, Andy.
Can I just say one more thing? Because
last
week we talked about the capacity at the stadium. The actual capacity is 62,500. It's never hit 62,500. The season before last, 195,496 fans never showed up across the season. That's telling you a lot. And, every week they say 62,500, it was full up. It isn't. And can we just have some honesty, please? And can we work together to get our once proud football club united and back where it needs to be? We're never going to be, Frank, people are going to hate me for saying this, we're not a top six. We're not going to be challenging some of these guys, but we should be up there in the top 10. And when you look at brilliant clubs, well-run, like Brentford, Brighton and Bournemouth, maybe we're going to have to change our name to start with B to get into that group. But Bournemouth have got, I love it, it's a tiny ground, and they're making waves because they've got a strategy.
Andy, I get it. I hear your pain. Andy Payne, chair of the West Ham Fan Advisory Board. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll hear from you again. A frustrated Andy.
Yeah, he's got to tread the middle ground between the sort of slightly more militant group of West Ham fans who are clearly disillusioned and working with the board as well. And I think the general point that he makes, that they are West Ham United, clues in the name, they all have to work together, whether that's the board listening more, whether that's Potter responding in terms of the style of football, although that obviously has to be dictated pretty much exclusively by the manager. But you have to listen to fans because you can sense the dissent.
OK, next up, we turn the spotlight on Premier League keepers.
This is the talkSPORT Goal Show. It's the show for the fans that's done by the fans.
Yes! Oh! Oh my God! Yes! Yes! Yes!
He is an unlocker of defences. That.
If you've got a problem or something to say,
You don't have the right to say anything about something. I do.
This nonsense kills the game.
We're going to talk goalkeepers in a sec here on Sunday Edition, but our volleys feature earlier on has really got you at it, and people are all piling in with their favourites. And Geordie in Glasgow says, don't forget Ray Wilkins, England and Rangers legend, and of course a legend of talkSPORT he was. 1988 Old Firm versus Celtic. Wilkins scored worldy volley from 30 yards. And Rangers won 5-1. Paul from Liverpool fan says, I know you're talking about Premier League. However, when volleys are mentioned, you have to mention Zidane 2002 Champions League final. To be fair, Henry did mention that off air.
I have to say, I was there for that. And it was one of those ones where you just stop typing. You go, how on earth am I going to describe that? Because it was absolutely brilliant.
And you've had another message.
Just from talkSPORT, Scott Minto. I mean, he's talking about Di Canio. I played in that game with the Di Canio goal, was right behind it, just millimetre perfect. I mean, it just sums it all up. It was, absolutely. So, yeah.
And, of course, the fact about those is that none of the goalkeepers stopped them. And we're going to look at goalkeepers here in the.
Well, that's the clue in the name goal.
That is the clue. Yes, indeed. We've only had how many games have we had in the Premier League so far? 6, and we've had shockers for 2 goalkeepers already. One, your client, Mads Hermansen, on Friday night, who Henry moved heaven and earth to get a move to another club from Leicester.
I think you'll call it a news story, Sean. It's something that I know is deserted you in your career.
He talks about Mads Hermansen up all the time, and come on, concede it. He was terrible on Friday.
He's been poor. Certainly, I think for the 3rd, 4th and 5th goals. He was.
Is that his communication with his defence as well, do you think? Because you know the one where he flaps out at the corner, everybody's on top of each other, he doesn't seem to make a call, the defenders don't seem to know where he is, and it all ends up in a horrible mess.
I think it's a combination of new goalkeeper settling in and the defence just being woeful. I mean, you've got some tall players in there, but there's not enough responsibility taking. So, he's absolutely got to improve. And then I think the James Trafford one, which the Sunday Times is cover, says it all. A number one problem.
Yeah, but I mean, there was all this hoo-ha about Trafford in the summer. Let's be fair. You were a big supporter of his, and particularly for what he's done on under-21 duty. He had an excellent season with Burnley last season.
Yeah.
Only conceded, I think, 16 goals in the Championship. There was talk of him going
Player of the Year in the Championship.
Talk of him going to Newcastle.
Got his award on Tuesday.
Goes to Man City, thinking, well, Edison might leave. There's a good chance I'm going to be starting there. And now all the talk is Donnarumma's coming in, who isn't that great with his feet either.
But sorry, the talk 5-6 days ago was, should he be England's number one? Because he had a good first game. It's absolutely not at all. No, I mean I'm being steadfast in my support of Jordan Pickford as England's number one,
with Dean Henderson as number 2.
I think so. I think the pecking order now, and if you have any sense of Tuchel, the way Tuchel thinks, Trafford is very much England's number 3.
What's happened to Pope?
Well, I think it's probably Pope and Ramsdale fighting for 4th
and 5.
But maybe they see an opening in the number 3.
But it's Pope. The thing about playing with your feet has affected them. I mean, Pope isn't great with his feet.
No.
Ramsdale was considered not quite as good with his feet as Raya, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one for goalkeepers now because they have to, that's almost become the priority.
But you don't like it, do you? You just want a goalkeeper
who saves it and then
and then wellies it down the field to the big man.
Well, because you're causing trouble you don't need to. You don't need to cause.
But sorry,
and everybody is trying to play the same way. So Leeds United were trying to do it yesterday. Can Leeds United really do that up against an Arsenal?
I get that, but how much of that is down to the goalkeepers, and how much of that is down to tactical trends, which has obviously been brought in slightly by Pep and by other coaches as well, building out from the back, drawing the opposition onto you, and then getting the ball as quickly as you can into midfield. So I think it's a tactical trend, and these goalkeepers are absolutely trying to catch up with it.
Donnarumma has been under scrutiny in this country like never before because we think he's about to arrive somewhere. Maybe Man United will put in a late move for him. And now we're learning, I think to a certain extent, all about what people think of him abroad. And there has been criticism that he's not great in the air, and he's not particularly great with his feet.
I think
he's a good
goalkeeper.
But he's a good shot stopper, which used to be the prerequisite for a goalkeeper.
I mean, from an England perspective, we've seen what he can do against England. We saw what he did in the Champions League last season against English clubs.
So why did PSG get rid of him then?
Well, that is a Luis Enrique thing. Chevalier, as Ben Jacobs was talking about earlier, that they wanted him. Maybe he's better with his feet. That was the argument. I think there's something about Donnarumma. Just one thing on Donnarumma. Everyone thinks he's really old because he started. He's 26
and he looks it.
Yeah, tough paper and all that. But I mean, he is an exceptional goalkeeper. He'd be the best if he went in at Manchester United, and he would be the best if he went in at Manchester City. I think he's an exceptional goalkeeper.
He's not better than Edison, is he?
Well, why is Pep not fighting to keep Edison?
Because I think Edison is fighting to get a better wage and in what might be considered the latter years of his career.
Right. Is Donnarumma a better goalkeeper than Edison? I think probably on form over this year. I'd have Donnarumma ahead.
So you support this then?
Well, I'm a Donnarumma fan. I think he's a terrific goalkeeper.
We'll come back to this when he
throws one in.
When he gets
dispossessed. So, but there's another issue here, and I know you struggle with tactics, but opposition pressing.
Yes.
Teams are more confident and they will go high and press, and if they sense any vulnerability with a defender or with a goalkeeper, they will press. They know which side to press because the goalkeeper only likes playing it one way if they're one-footed, blah blah blah, and you saw it with Richarlison yesterday. I mean, his pressing was ferocious. You got midfielders stepping up and pressing as well, like Sarr. I thought Sarr was outstanding with his pressing. They will go high and press. So you've got a confluence of two tactical issues here. And goalkeepers getting caught out.
Well, because these presses are becoming so good, and opposition teams are wise to how a goalkeeper is, whether he's good on his right foot and his left foot, whether he panics under pressure. I really do think we've got to get back to hoofing it. No, generally, or picking out a player with a nice long pass from 50, 60 yards, which of course Edison was very good at. And one of your favourite players, Jordan Pickford, he's good at all of it, isn't he?
Yeah.
Really.
He is fantastically accurate with that sort of sidewinder pass that he does, that sort of half volley pinged out, particularly to the left wing. But I love your way that you're saying tactics are dead, long live the stick it in the mixer. Do you know what? There are kids all over the country going off to play Sunday games this morning. Their coach has said, right, just, knock it to the tallest person who's going to play up front. I think it's good we've had this trend. I can't believe this is slightly dinosaurs talking, Shaun. It is good that teams are playing out from the back, but there is a balance, and I think the better goalkeepers know when to ping it long and when to throw it through the middle.
If you've got a striker who's very good at holding the ball up? We saw Liam Delap, a real good example of how well he holds the ball up. Haaland usually can hold the ball up pretty well. If your goalkeeper has confidence in your striker holding it up, then it's probably not a bad idea to hit it 70 yards.
But I think variety is the spice of life, Shaun.
But there's not enough variety at the moment. Yeah. There's no variety. It's playing it along the box all the time.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think Trafford has got to learn.
And the conclusion to this is we still think Jordan Pickford's the best English goalkeeper and possibly the best goalkeeper in the Premier League.
No, I think David Raya probably is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League.
What about Alisson?
Alisson is fantastic, yeah.
I'm still not sure why we've dismissed Edison out of hand. I haven't seen that he's been that bad. Maybe he had a little dip in form last season, but to me, still a great
He can put it in the mixer. I mean, he's had, 2 assists?
Absolutely. Indeed, this is Sunday Edition on talkSPORT. Next up, we'll focus on one of the 2 p.m. games today. Spicy one, Crystal Palace versus Nottingham Forest. Yeah, half an hour left of Sunday edition with Shaun, Custis and Henry Winter. Now, this afternoon, Crystal Palace host Nottingham Forest, which usually when you see a fixture like that in the old days, you think, yeah, well, OK. But it's not the main fixture of the day, particularly as Fulham are playing Man United later on. But there are so many subplots to Crystal Palace v Forest. Of course, Forest were elevated into the Europa League at Palace's expense because of multi-club ownership. Palace down into the conference. Rumours of a fallout between Forest boss Nuno and Evangelos Marinakis, the owner. Suggestions that maybe Ange Postecoglou could take charge, or maybe Brendan Rodgers in his place. And manager Nuno has revealed that he is not as close to the owner as he was last season.
Look, I always had a very good relationship with the owner. Last season was very, very, very close, almost daily basis. This season, not so well. But I always believe that dialogue and what you say or your opinion is always valid, because my concern is the squad and the season that we have ahead of us. But our relations has changed.
It's changed?
Yeah, it's not so close. It's not on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Is that a good thing, though? Or?
No, it's not good. It's not good. I think everybody at the club should be together, but it's not the reality.
Now then, a man who knows his way round Forest is their former striker, Rob Earnshaw, who joins us now. Rob, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Rob, can I just check something, just to back up your credentials? Is it true, as Wikipedia says, that you're the only player to have scored a hat-trick in the Premier League, all three divisions of the English Football League, the League Cup, the FA Cup, and for your country?
This is true, yes.
Very good. That's outstanding
I'm the only man in the world.
Outstanding stuff, Rob. Brilliant.
Honestly, it's very nice.
Very good. Now, Rob, what have you made of what Nuno has been saying about his position at the club, and are you worried that this could be his last game?
Well, I was actually torn, because listening to it, and if you take away what we want to be the drama is he's fallen out with the owner, and things are not quite right at Nottingham Forest, and they're not so close, and things are not quite running to kind of the best way, so to say. But once I take away that, I was kind of listening to his words. I wonder if he's just kind of being honest in terms of, as a new director of football's come in, Edu, who's, of course, done a great job at Arsenal. And what normally happens is the manager and the owner, if there's no director of football in between, then, of course, they speak directly to each other. But once the football director comes in the middle, normally the manager then is assigned to speak with the football director. And then normally the football director will then speak with the owner direct and way more. I just wonder whether part of what he said was just to kind of clear up that's what's happening, is he doesn't speak to the owner as much because the director of football is going to be the one delivering a lot of the information. So I'm kind of torn. The first point is the drama. I don't want it to be that way. And I was a little bit shocked in that way, because I don't want it to be the drama, because what a great season Nottingham Forest have just had going into Europe. And then you start in this season, one last weekend, and you just feel like they're building something. And you look at some of their signings. Some of the signings I think have been brilliant. Douglas Luiz, McAtee, Hutchinson, excellent signings. And I don't want this situation to spoil what Nottingham Forest are building right now. And they're supposed to be building for Europe, building for another campaign in the league and another successful season.
Rob, you look at the form that Forest showed last season. Obviously, they sort of trailed off. I think it was the Leicester result. The draw was a bit damaging. But, you know, they're two players, Forest players, got in the PFA Team of the Year, Matt Sells and Wood. You look at, 30 years since Forest have been in Europe. I mean, Nuno's done an amazing job. So I just find all this... I was surprised he went and said those things, but I think it's sad that there is this tension, because the only losers really are going to be the club and the team.
Yeah, and the reason I was a little bit not kind of fully drawn 100% into the drama, because remember there was the whole drama, I think, against Leicester when the owner came on, and almost it felt like he confronted Nuno Espirito Santo. And then they came out straight away and said, no, it's just tensions. It's just emotion in the game. Don't worry about it. So I wonder if it's a little bit like that, and it'll die down, and it's just the heat of the moment. But I got to tell you, Nuno Espirito Santo has done an incredible job. I just think he's done so well. What he brought back is that calmness. What he brought back is really Nottingham Forest together. I mean, when the fans kind of look at him, they know he's in charge. When the players, I just get the feeling that the players love to play for him, and that's a big thing. And then also, guess what? He also got the very best out of each individual player last season and got them into Europe. So, job well done. I think he's been incredible, and you believe in him, and that's the key. We believe in him that he's also going to continue this work that he's been doing.
But Rob, he hasn't exactly specified what his beef is. We're surmising what it is, and it may be a problem with Edu. But Forrest did an amazing thing in keeping Morgan Gibbs-White, persuading him to stay, not go to Spurs. You'd think Nuno would be doing laps of the City ground to celebrate that.
He is, for sure. And, Gibbs-White staying, I think, it felt like another new signing, really, because he did sign a new contract. And it felt like keeping him was a statement of intent of, listen, we're in Europe. We're not going to be the selling club that's been in the last few years. And I think, of course, he's going to be doing laps, but I think also I think what he really points out as well, and what he's really not happy with, for sure, I know this for sure, is he's not happy with him not having a direct line with the owner, because I feel like when they've lost last season, he could go directly and explain it, and it's clear, it's direct. And when they won, of course, he could explain that too. When he wanted something, if it's a signing, if it's an issue that he's seeing around the training ground, he could explain that. But I think what he's not happy with is Edu, Mr. Marinakis, and Nuno almost having that daily communication. And I feel like that's been taken away now. And that's what he's really not happy with. Whether it doesn't feel like he's had an argument, one specific argument, but it doesn't feel like they're together on the same page because there's not that direct communication. And listen, the one thing in football that always brings out these issues is non-communication in a football club, especially with the ownership, especially with the manager, because there's so many things that happen between those two guys that's where things and relationships get broken. And what he wants to do is he wants to keep that. I feel like this is really not a good thing, though, for Nottingham Forest and for the two of them.
Marinakis has done a lot of good for Forest, and part of that was appointing Nuno, which was a slight surprise, and then giving him a new contract. The Forest fans obviously love Nuno. What do you think their reaction will be towards him today? Are you expecting lots of chants in support of Nuno?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the Forest fans love him. I think he's just been so good in the way his manner, the way he deals with the players, the way he brings out this real energy about the team. He allows the players to play. But I've got to say also, Mr. Marinakis has been incredible. He's backed himself. He's put money into his pocket. He's backed, what he wants to do with the plan. He continues to put money into the football club. So Mr. Marinakis has also done an incredible job. So this is where I think the fans will be very torn, because you have an owner they support. You have also a manager that they support. And in between there's this almost breakdown of communication, or direct communication. I think they'll support. I think the fans will come and support Nuno Espirito Santo. I think the energy will be even louder because of this. And I think they'll support Nuno, absolutely. The fans are right behind the manager. That's the key thing. But they'll be definitely torn between the manager and the owner.
Of course, the other subplot to this, Rob, and why it'll be quite a spiky day is because of what happened with Europe, with Palace being demoted to the Conference League, Forest promoted to the Europa League, and all Palace fans see Forest as the bad guys in that one. Do you think Palace were harshly treated?
The rules are the rules. I don't think they're harshly treated, because these are the rules. You know, and you understand, and you're in this position where you finish in a certain spot. You know, there's multiple club ownership, and that's the rule. So it's hard to say that they were harshly treated. They were treated based on the rules, and I think it's that simple. Listen, of course, I am a big fan of Crystal Palace. I want them to be in the biggest competitions, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. It's just so funny that of course they play Forest, and this is going to be the Europa League, I guess, trophy for this, and there's a little bit of spice because of that. But Nottingham Forest are not the bad guys. They weren't, making the rules. So, but there will be that tension. There will be that extra spice in the game, and the players will know it as well, and the fans, of course, will banter against each other on this one, because both teams will want to beat each other because of the situation that's happened.
I'm sure you're right, Rob. Could be quite an afternoon. Rob Earnshaw, man of many hat-tricks. Thank you very much. You're listening to Sunday Edition. To finish off, we'll be talking Everton and Liverpool. You're listening to Sunday Edition, and time is running out to enter our VIP competition as the NFL returns to Wembley in October. The Los Angeles Rams take on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're giving you the chance to win 6 seats in a private box with full hospitality, plus $5,000 spending money. But it all ends tomorrow, so be quick. Here's how to enter.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word cash to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission or enter for free by calling 0330 880 3338. All entries must be received by 25th August at 11 p.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. See talksport.com for terms and conditions.
Our best of the best section earlier on has led to a volley of texts and WhatsApps, Henry. There's still more coming in. More volley talk, I'm afraid. But the best non-league volley ever has to be Steve McNulty for Luton Town versus Southport in 2013. I can't vouch for that one, I'm afraid. That one was anonymous. Jason from Paisley in Scotland says Matt Taylor against Everton 2006. I said that one. Just on giving it the boot. Good morning, all. Yes, Shaun, I agree. This playing out from the goalkeeper is a problem for teams and ends in disaster most of the time. Shilton, Clements, give it the boot, says Gary from Newcastle.
You like to stick it in the mixer.
I do like. I just think messing around at the back for many teams leads to problems, and I can see that for some it might work, but for the majority it doesn't.
So 40 years of tactical development, nuance, sophistication.
Yes.
You're prepared to get back.
Let's get back to old school.
Well, should we bring back muddy pitches?
Yeah, why not? I loved them.
Right.
Anyway. On to this, and Everton play today, and it's their first Premier League game at their new stadium, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Henry, you've been there. What did you make of it?
I have. I mean, just as it was being built, I actually went in. I don't know whether they were using me as a guinea pig for the press box, where there was enough leg room, because I'm quite tall. It was the time they were playing badly, and one of the journalists, when I mentioned this later on, said, "Oh, please tell me the press box is outside the stadium." But no, it's very much inside the stadium, in a very good position. They've got a good manager. There's a buzz around the place.
Flattened a little bit by last week?
It has flattened a little bit, but I tell you what, the atmosphere. The atmosphere today. I mean, they had to leave Goodison. Goodison was so special. I spent a bit of time sort of wandering around it, sort of working with Duncan Ferguson on his book, just to sort of getting a feel of the sort of, the ghosts and the memories and the spirit and the soul of the place. And the new place, I mean, it is a fantastic stadium architecturally, as part of the landscape of the Mersey and of Liverpool. I think it's fantastic, and it's being used for one of the stadiums in 2028 when the Euros are over here. I think it is fantastic, but it's going to need a statement moment, whether it's a tackle, whether it's a performance, whether it's a goal, whether it's a result, whether it's a volley.
Indeed.
If there's a great volley in there that just sets the whole place alive. So they need that, but the best stadiums are basically, and this kind of echoes the West Ham conversation, the best stadiums are those where the fans are closest to the pitch, and you almost have like a sort of ravine, ambush type feel. And that stand is phenomenal. I mean, if you go to the top of that and you look down, you're going, wow, you almost feel like you're right on top of the wingers.
Give it a few months and Henry will be telling us that the atmosphere at the Hill Dickinson is second to none, up there with everybody else's. And where the atmosphere is brilliant, of course, is also St James's Park, where Newcastle are going to be playing Liverpool on Monday night. There's a little extra edge to this one because of you-know-who, the whole Isaac situation. I don't expect he'll be moving to Liverpool before that game
Do you think he will go?
I don't know. I'm still digging in there, because I think that if we stick to our guns and say it's 150 million, then... and call Liverpool's bluff, what is he going to do on September the 1st? He's not going to be able to down tools till January, is he?
No.
He's going to have to play.
No, I mean, Sweden have got two big World Cup qualifiers coming up against, I think, Slovenia and Kosovo away, so absolutely.
Good Sweden knowledge, Henry.
Yeah, well, I've been writing a little bit about Isaac, as you might have gathered. Yeah. But look at it. Take a step back. Take your Alan Shearer pyjamas off and actually have a think of what not that I'm saying you're sharing them with him, but I'm sure you've got a pair of club-issued black and white pyjamas. If you look at it from a footballer's perspective, if he has got the chance to go to Liverpool, it clearly is. It is a step up. They are the champions, so I can understand that from his perspective. But 3 years left on his contract. It's different to Wissa. And it's also, the way he's handled it, slightly different from Eze, who's gone out the front door of Crystal Palace. Again, it's different.
Despite ringing in sick on Thursday.
Was that him, or was that... If I'm the insurers, going, sorry, he's not playing. So whether that was him... and I think he's handled it well. And you look at the way Crystal Palace have responded, and they've sent Eze on his way with almost a sort of packed lunch and a lot of love, because he handled it well.
He made a statement as well, thanking Palace for all they've done for him, and quite right too.
He did. But so you think that they will stand for... And I mean, I'm sort of having this sort of debate.
I don't know. I think
with Liverpool fans. Liverpool offered 110.
Yeah, but you keep saying 130 million, well, that's reasonable. Well, no, we asked for 150 million, so come on.
But I think 130 is acceptable.
Do you?
Yeah, but I'm a neutral. I can completely understand why you would want the 150, because he's a special player, but I think 130 is acceptable.
Anyway...
Do you think there'll be a compromise on Tuesday morning?
I fear there will, but I hope not.
Okay.
Anyway, ahead of the game tomorrow night, live on talkSPORT, let's hear from both managers. Arnie Slot, but first, Eddie Howe.
I love experiencing those days, those nights with the energy that the crowd bring us. I've got no doubt this will be a really passionate, display from the home support. We need to harness that, use it, but not be reckless with it. You know, we've got to concentrate on the game. We've got to deliver our game plan. We've got to concentrate on what we need to do and not get too emotional, but certainly use the energy from the crowd. That's going to be vital for us.
If you go to Newcastle, you know what to expect. We've played them 3 times last season, and twice their intensity levels were above ours. So in the away game, especially first 60 minutes, they were so intense. They were fully deserved, had the lead, and in the League Cup final they were more intense than us as well. One of the best teams in the league, and one of the most difficult away games that you can have in a season, especially, as you say it here, under the lights.
Ah, the League Cup final. What a great day that was. And of course it was. And Newcastle
scored.
If you look at Newcastle's attitude that day and the way they got stuck in and the way they believed from the start that they could do it, which is unusual sometimes when we play Liverpool, they were outstanding then. If they can replicate that under the lights at St James's Park, Liverpool are in for a bit of a task, aren't they?
It's interesting. I mean, what Eddie Howe was basically saying is that you have to control the flow of adrenaline. Don't let it get into your sort of head and sort of overreact. And I think it's about, and you've got players who do run on adrenaline. Bruno Guimaraes, I think, is a fabulous player. But you just want that control. You don't want it to turn into a little bit of a scrap on the pitch.
And actually, Bruno has been... unusually for this summer, there was no talk of Bruno leaving, and he
posted
a
quickly
picture
after the Instagram
with his arms folded, looking very, very strong, and I'm for Newcastle and all that. It was a bit of a pointed reference. I wonder how much, if at all, players get into their teammates and say, "What are you doing? What are you playing at? Why don't you stay here? We've got a good thing going."
I think there'll be a little bit of that. And in terms of why don't you do it quicker and why didn't you have a word with your agent when you signed and have a release clause, particularly players who've come from abroad. I mean, release clauses in contracts are far more prevalent. So maybe there was that. But I think on the whole is that players understand ambition. Unless you're sort of homegrown and you're embedded in the club.
But those players who stay can't be accused of a lack of ambition. You're not accusing Bruno or Joe Linton of lacking ambition, are you? So their ambition is to do well for Newcastle United.
But sorry, have Liverpool been linked with Bruno? I mean, that's
but he's been linked with some other clubs.
Bigger clubs than Newcastle?
Time, there's no bigger club than Newcastle.
There you go.
Anyway,
yeah.
Liverpool.
Voice of Gallagher.
Liverpool in form, going to be in form, look good to you?
I mean, it'd be interesting the reaction Ekitike gets. I mean, look, Liverpool are a terrific team. But, they've still got players settling in. Injured fullback, Kirkej as well.
Sorry?
Well, Kirkej as well, in terms of, he is settling in. He's a terrific player. I'm sure he'll start. Issues at right back, centre halves. Do they need Mark Gay? They're all those issues. I think.
Do you think they get him?
I think the way that Steve Parish has been talking in terms of he's only got a year left on his contract. If a substantial offer came in, it would have to be.
I think this time round it'll have to be, unlike last year where he dug in for the 70 million and didn't get it.
Yeah.
Will he be a good addition to Liverpool?
Mark Gay, absolutely. He was England's best player at the Euros.
Newcastle v Liverpool is a talkSPORT exclusive at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. That'll be presented by Adrian Durham, commentary from Sam Matterface, and former Watford captain Troy Deeney. That's it for us, for me and Henry here on Sunday Edition. Up next, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Barry Glendinning.